Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Pesnicek, and I'm with the Dynamic Self Astrology for Life. I'm bringing you the astrology overview for August 2026. It's eclipse season, so things get a little bit trippy this month. Some of the themes were already set up in the crazy month that we had in July, as well as the other eclipse season that took place in February and March of earlier this year. So that's what we've got. In opening, the title for this month is Sublime Times. And sublime, it's an old word for when something is so huge or powerful that it is terrifying yet amazing. And I think that really summarizes in many ways this precipice that we're on and this time that we're living in. Not to say that there haven't been times like this before, but there are so many things that make this time that we are in specifically so different. Mostly that there's interconnectedness all around the world, that we have this technology that's connecting us, and this technology that's moving very, very quickly. So that's just some of it. But in a nutshell, I thought that this time that's so big and powerful, that's both terrifying and amazing. I think that we're all really straddling both the excitement and the fear of this time. Okay, so let's jump in. The quickening that was illustrated last month in July will continue boldly into August as well. This basket, which I also explained as the partial star of David, will be triggered as the faster moving planets, which include the moon, the sun, Mercury, and Venus, and also Mars, make their way along their paths, strumming this alignment like a musical instrument. And this alignment consists of Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And this is happening in various different ways. It is notable that Jupiter is moving quickly this month and reaches 13 degrees of Leo by the beginning of September. Thus, the modern planet alignment that remains of Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto then consists of what's called a small grand trine, which is two sextiles in a trine. And this formation illustrates a massive unobstructed energy that is changing human society on an enormous scale because it's these three really slow moving planets that are grinding over this energy. So remember that with modern planet configurations such as this one, change occurs both all at once and over a long period of time. As the personal planets ingress into their next sign throughout the month, the small grand trine is encountered right away because the modern planets are all between 4 and 5 degrees of their respective signs. These ingresses include Venus into Libra on August 6th, Mercury into Leo on August 9th, Mars into Cancer on August 11th, the Sun into Virgo on August 22nd, and Mercury into Virgo on August 25th. Each pass by the faster moving planets brings another manifestation of this alignment into being, big, small, and otherwise. Every movement filling out the storyline of the current moment that we are in, a moment in time that will dramatically impact the future trajectory. One of the key highlights of this month is the steady song being played from differing vantage points and inspiring varying manifestations. The tide of change is fast and slow and fast once more. Remember that the past has already happened, the future is not yet here, so let the moment in hand blossom into its potential. And a quote by Wendy Mass says, "If nothing ever changed, there would be no such thing as butterflies," which feels very appropriate to this time. So the first step on this month's exploration is already in mid-August, August 12th, 2026. We have the Leo total solar eclipse. Of course, there's other things happening before this, but this is everything through the beginning of the month, I feel, is really leading us into this point. And this total solar eclipse is situated at 20 degrees Leo, 1 minute. And a solar eclipse in Leo really highlights leadership. This was the type of eclipse that kings really feared in the past. They would put somebody else on the throne temporarily so that if anything happened to the king during this very edgy time for leadership, then they would be impacted. And then they could afterwards bring the actual king back on. So this was a time when leaders have historically been very concerned in particular. So this highlighting of leadership, of visibility, of bold assertion, it's not necessarily in a comfortable way, as I was stating, because leaders and expressions of governance are potentially being dethroned, taken out, and or demoted. On a global scale, there could be a realignment of leadership, while there is the potential for the more dramatic expression manifesting, like the assassination of leadership. There's also the possibility that we could see global events unexpectedly redirect the power that dominant individuals hold on the world stage. So it doesn't necessarily always have to manifest in that same way, in that most extreme way. We can expect the news to be flooded with striking stories impacting those who hold the reins of our world. More specifically, this eclipse really focuses on Trump and impacts his chart in a very personal way. First of all, Trump was born on an eclipse, so he is uniquely triggered by eclipses. Additionally, the South Node and the eclipse itself lands on top of his ascendant, where his natal Mars also lies. So in the eclipse chart for the US, the MC, which is the point that represents leadership, also aligns with his ascendant, which is really pointing towards him as far as United States goes. We can expect major events to unfold for him. It is unlikely that this time frame, widely the first half of August, will go unnoticed. Expect pivotal events and either the introduction of a new dramatic storyline or a twist to an existing one. I personally believe that we could see a major expansion of the war in Iran at this time, mostly because it's impacting Trump so much. The relative pragmatic control that both sides have maintained since March will likely not be attainable. Personally, look to see if you have any prominent placements at or near 20 degrees of fixed signs. These include Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. You will likely be most impacted. Also, check to see where 20 degrees Leo lands in your chart and what house it's in. This will illustrate the topics that could be highlighted. Important information in our lives could be revealed. We could find creative solutions to seemingly impossible problems. Additionally, our pride could be checked. What parts of our ego do we hold too tightly to? In what ways can we adjust our inner life in order to show up more effectively for those around us? How can we tend to ourselves so that our light shines brightly, but not so bright that it blinds or burns others and keeps them away? Next up is Mercury conjunct Jupiter. So, although the July Mercury retrograde is in the rearview mirror by August, this Mercury Jupiter conjunction, which takes place at 10 degrees Leo, 9 minutes, could be continuing some of the themes that were highlighted in early July due to a sudden change of plans that may have occurred at that time. We could have found that our trajectory took a sudden U-turn at that time, and in mid-August, we could experience alternate options opening up for us. It should be noted that this is taking place on the curtails of the Leo solar eclipse, which we just spoke to, and is also situated on the Saturn-Uranus midpoint, suggesting that the arising options could shake up the structure that we had already established. The question at hand will likely be along the lines of, is it worth it to shift gears again, or should we stay the course that was chosen in early July or previous to that? And next we have our Pisces partial lunar eclipse, which is the second of the eclipses, which takes place on August 28th, 2026. And it's situated at 4 degrees Pisces, 53 minutes. So while a Pisces moon can be joyful and serene, dropping us deeper into the subconscious space, this one is triggering the change making that Pisces can also contribute to. Being both mutable and water, Pisces can facilitate rapid intuitive change. And this lunar eclipse's prominent square to Uranus really triggers this potential. But the quickened energy might not be rooted in a comfortable place. There could be pieces to the moving puzzle that will not reconcile with the larger picture that we've been speaking to. We could find that there are extreme annoyances or irritants to the plan that come out of nowhere. This lunar eclipse triggers the basket alignment, which is also situated right around 4 degrees, that we have been speaking to in an uncomfortable and irritating way. The swift changes are kicking up curveballs, and there could be a need to pivot from the current trajectory. Expect for there to be some level of discomfort from an unidentifiable direction. And if it can be identified, then maybe it cannot be settled or reconciled at the moment. Remember that the purpose of these kinds of events can be that they are not acknowledging a part of the story, a sort of blind spot in our own approach that we need to take into account before solidifying anything. So it's really kind of a checkpoint to see, what are we not seeing? Approach these disruptions with curiosity. They could be triggering necessary conversations to illuminate creative alternate routes. Central to the wisdom of this time is that we don't have all the necessary information, and or it is time to detach from outdated thought patterns. On the world stage, there could be out of the blue events, possibly in an attempt to reconcile whatever unfolded at the beginning of the month. Governments and leaders could feel that they don't have any good options and are situated between a rock and a hard place. The decisions that they do make could feel deeply uncomfortable to the people in general, but could also bring them together in an unexpected way. Look at your chart to see what you have at 4 degrees of the mutable signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. You will be most impacted by this eclipse and are likely already being impacted by Uranus specifically and the modern planet activity more widely. You could be noticing big changes in your life, and this eclipse is likely to open the door for even more untethered activity in your life. And finally, we have Jupiter trine Saturn, which offers the possibility for stabilization and the realization of goals. They're going to make their first pass of this trine on August 31st at 13 degrees. And this trine is going to move in and out of perfection with one another until July 2027. So we have approximately a year of this activity. This is another statement that the guardrails are off at this moment. There's flowing activity, which is saying, just go. There's a flow occurring that can be both exhilarating and frightening when we look at it in the context of all of the other things that are happening, and can be unruly, but also productive. This is the first trine between these two planets that has occurred since their conjunction in 2020. Answers and clear vision could emerge out of the wreckage that we have been working through for the past 6 years. Take a moment to appreciate the progress that you have made and that humanity has made in general. It is important to highlight that the last major aspect that each of these planets made was Jupiter opposite Pluto in July 2026 and Saturn conjunct Neptune in February 2026. Each of these planets could be working together to find solutions to the areas of life that were disrupted, in addition to the longer-term 2020 storylines. On the world stage, this points specifically towards the war in Iran. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction contributed to the beginning of the war, and the Jupiter-Pluto opposition was part of the current reignition of the war. We could see that whatever is ramped up in this war due to the August eclipses is going through the motions to find diplomacy in an answer to a world that is being more and more deeply thrusted into conflict. Most notably, Mars is simultaneously in a tight and applying square to Saturn. The square perfects just the day afterwards on September 1st. This looks to be a time of overly optimistic goals with unrealistic expectations. Reality is not in favor when it comes to finding peace and harmony, although everyone has the best of intentions. The agitating elephant in the room must be addressed first, is largely what the symbology is saying at this time. Personally, find what you have at 13 degrees of fire signs, that's Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. You will be most notably impacted by this transit. Expect to discover a positive path forward. In closing, this month is a continuation of the rapid transformations that we are in the midst of and have been for much of this year. And as so many structures and foundations continue to unravel all around us, a simultaneously exciting and scary future persists. Remember that what is leaving is meant to leave, regardless of how it leaves. There is wisdom in what is falling away. If you find yourself feeling this is the way that we have always done things, then this is a red flag that that thing is part of what I'm speaking to. Sink into the areas of life and culture that you support, that you are for instead of what you are against. Lean into the possibilities instead of the fears. This frees up your energy, your soul to be available in a positive way for yourself, for your friends and family, and for your community. It is fine to disagree with the action of others, but remember that behind these actions are real people with real struggles and real hope. The greatest danger at this time isn't AI, it isn't corrupt governments, and it isn't the potential fall of the economy. The real danger at this time is losing our connection to what it means to be human, to dehumanize others because we're insecure and scared. The most effective thing that we can do at this time is to become empowered. But empowerment does not grow from fear, insecurity, and anger. Empowerment sits within the light of our shared humanity. Humanity includes mindfully engaging with those who we do not agree with and navigating that space as curious, loving humans, holding the sacredness of humanity in every difficult step that we take. We have a choice at every moment to either choose anger and despair or love and hope. There is no judgment. There is only curiosity, compassion, and constant practice. May you live in sublime times. So much love to all of you. I will see you on the other side of eclipse season. I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.